to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just want to remind the council to please use the microphones. We have a big crowd there tonight, and we want to make sure they can hear what we say. All right, you've got the agenda in front of you. I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff, first one of the year. Brian at second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, a grant from Mid-American. Is Dave McCammett here?
Yes.
All right, here. I'd like to introduce Dave McCammett, Eldridge resident with the long-standing ties to our community. His mother was a longtime member of the Eldridge Park Board. Dave works for Mid-American Energy and usually comes bearing gifts. I think that's the case tonight.
That is the case.
It's my understanding that you'll be presenting a $500 grant to be used for landscaping and beautification within the city.
That's right. Thank you very much, Scott. Yeah, I think a lot of you know me. We have some new members, so maybe not. I'm David McCammett. I live in Eldridge. I'm what we call a community link. If anybody in the city government has any questions, I just want you to know, get a hold of me. Nevada and Jeff know how to get a hold of me. Anything at all. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out. But tonight we have a check for $500 to present to the city. So glad to do that, and I don't know how you want me to do this.
Ryan, you do the honors today.
All right, we got one. Ryan, thank you. Thank you very much. Here it is.
Thank you.
And Eldridge is a very important community to Mid-American, and we're glad to be here serving.
We appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. You're always very generous. Is there anybody here from Big Brothers Big Sisters tonight? They were supposed to be, but in their absence. Whereas January is National Mentoring Month and an annual campaign to raise awareness of and celebrate the powerful impact of mentoring relationships, recruit new members, and encourage institutions to integrate quality mentoring into their policies and practices. And whereas the City of Eldridge recognizes the contributions of volunteer mentors who link youth to economic and social opportunities, while also strengthening our community. And whereas mentoring programs like Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Mississippi Valley make our state and community stronger by enabling impactful relationships that provide invaluable support networks, I, Mayor Scott Campbell, do hereby proclaim January 2026 as National Mentoring Month in the City of Eldridge. We will make sure that they get their proclamations. All right. At this time, the public is welcome to address the council on any item that they choose. We ask that you please state your name and the city where you live. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and Jeff will be timing those. Try not to be repetitive, and above all, please be respectful. With that, the floor is yours, and we are all ears.
My name is Daryl Zingri. I live at 201 Diamond Drive in Eldridge, Iowa. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to raise awareness and offer a public commendation to the Chief of Police, Andrew Lelig. 4 years ago when we moved here, we love Eldridge, Iowa. We moved from Morris, Illinois to Eldridge, Iowa. 4 years ago when we moved here, I noticed the excessive speeding and reckless driving on Diamond Drive. We live right at the apex, the middle of the curve coming off of 9th Street going north. And the public commendation for Chief Lelig is 4 years ago, I went to the Chief of Police. The next year I went to the Chief of Police. The next year I went to the Chief of Police, requested a meeting with the Chief of Police just to raise awareness to the speeding and the reckless driving. I received no feedback, no contact the first 3 years. This June, I went to the Chief of Police, left a message with the clerk there. He contacted me an hour later, came to my house, took my concerns, and immediately went to action to try and solve the excessive speeding and reckless driving on Diamond Drive. And he took tremendous action and made recommendations to the city council, to the city engineer, and he increased patrol down there. And we all know there's been an issue with electric scooters. We live right on that curb. My wife is disabled. We try and back out responsibly, which we do very responsibly. And we've been passed on Dahmen Drive. Vehicles have ended up in front yards on Dahmen Drive. The response has been a temporary speed hump that had to be removed for the winter, a digital signed speed limit that was removed a week later. And I just want to say the city engineer needs to review that again. The engineering report indicated that there was speeding, and there needs to be not only the permanent one down the way, but right before West Davenport Court, there needs to be another speed hump put in there for the safety and welfare of the residents and all the students and the children, the walkers that go through that area. And so that's my concern. I've seen a 10-year-old girl get run over by a vehicle and hit, and all the blood pouring all over the, and I can't get it out of my mind. I love Eldridge. Chief Lely has been tremendous, follows up with me, and I thank you for your time. I challenge the city council to do right.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Smith. I live in Hoople, Illinois, and I am the president of the Quad City Rollers. I would like to start by saying thank you very much for the last 10 years. We have very much enjoyed having our time here at the skate park. And we're very grateful for the city of Eldridge for letting us use this facility and rent it. We would like the city council to consider letting us continue to use the facility for our practices. We carry our own liability insurance policy that covers the entire team, and all of our rollers each carry their own individual policy backed by our skating organization, WIFTA. Additionally, we do not need any further city support to run our practices. In the transitions between managers in our time at the community center, we have been allowed to open and close on our own, ensuring the floor was swept, lights off, and building was how we found it. We asked the city council to allow us to continue practices in this manner for the rest of the year, as long as the city retains ownership, to help us in our transition to a new facility. Thank you for your consideration. If any further information is required, please let us know.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Paula Del Fabro. I live at 841 South Buttermilk Road in Eldridge. You might remember my daughter from the last meeting. She stood up here and we read a letter about how she didn't want the skate park closed. I'm here today as one of the taxpayers in our family. You voted to close the last time, and we would really like you to reconsider. For a small town like ours, losing a community center is a huge deal. The community impact and residents deserve more consideration than I feel we're being given by the council. I'm not alone. There's a petition. I have copies here with me with over 2,000 signatures. These people do not want the community center or skate park to close. Over 2,000 people are requesting that you reconsider closing the community center, consider the impact on the community, and explore options for keeping it open. Options that would include budgeting a subsidy. Over 2,000 signatures, over 500 from Eldridge residents, over 1,600 from the Quad Cities in Eastern Iowa. We are significant, and considering how Eldridge residents feel and how the metro area we belong to feels is part of y'all's job. To the public, it looks less than transparent. In December of 2024, you cited concerns about subsidizing the cost to run the center, and you agreed to give it 18 months to review the financials. Then 12 months in, 10 days before Christmas, without notifying the community and with little regard to the opinion of the community, a vote to close was snuck in 10 days before Christmas. It was cited many times in the last meeting that the city is not in the business of running a business. I disagree. The city is a business with a budget paid for by taxpayers. It appears as if the community center was forced into being a business by mandating that it cover 100% of its operating costs and then closed because of it. It was said that the community center competes against private business, and there is no private business that will be obligated to provide the same services or affordability. Please, please, please reconsider. If we lose this center, we lose more than just a line on the balance sheet that was turned red. We lose a safe, affordable, clean place to gather as a community. We lose a skate park where kids get to go be kids and have a lot more fun without paying an arm and a leg. Our kids and our residents are in dire need of more opportunities to be in public and spend time in the community. A place to congregate as a community for simple events without being looked at by private businesses as a dollar sign. I had a really good childhood. I want her over there to have a better childhood than mine. I moved to Eldridge to provide her with the experiences that were as close as possible to my own experiences growing up in a small town in Iowa. Losing the community center was not part of that plan. It not only makes my job as a parent more expensive, it makes it very much harder to provide her with the childhood I expected to be able to provide her when I moved to Eldridge. If you do not reconsider, Eldridge will not get a community center back. The next one will cost more than the money that you guys are talking about losing now. Please consider how this impacts the residents and our thoughts.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that microphone is turned on.
My name is Richard Cole. I live at 210 West Scott Street, and I follow this lady's thought that the election was kind of sprung upon us and kind of quick without a lot of forethought. The city has all kinds of amenities that cost money and have to have insurance. You got 3 bike paths, which are very dangerous in my opinion, and my wife, we will not use them because of the scooters and fast bikes. You have baseball diamonds throughout the city. You have the pickleball court. You have the bicycle ramping thing over by the high school. And so you have lots of things that require the insurance that you're concerned about, the liability insurance. I think that the people that like pickleball, fine. People like baseball, fine. The people that want to use this skating rink and this community center, I think they deserve the part of it. I could not find the exact evidence, but the North Scott Press had a piece within the last year with the Eldridge JCs give $10,000 to a community center. As a former JC, I'd like to know where my $10,000 is going to go if this thing goes. That's about all I have to say. The Moonlight Chase is another thing. I don't know if the city deals with that or not. You talked about having outsiders, the roller derbies being outsiders. We have all kinds of outsiders come to the roller derby, baseball games, and the bike paths are open to everybody. So it's not just Eldridge people who use these facilities. It is others. And maybe it needs to be advertised. The Isaac Walton League advertises rooms for rent. The Long Grove Civic Center advertises. I don't see many advertisements for this place being available. Maybe it needs to be marketed better. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dick.
Judith Gilbert, 456 North 3rd Avenue, Eldridge. I urge City Council members to reconsider their decision to close the Eldridge Community Center and Skate Park. At the last City Council meeting, 17 members of the public spoke in favor of keeping the community center and skate park open. No member of the public spoke in favor of closing. Why did the opinions of residents and users of the center not seem to matter? This issue was not even discussed at the December 10th, 2025 Community Center Board meeting. I submitted a FOIA request on December 17th for records related to the operations of the community center and skate park. My FOIA request was not addressed in a timely manner, making it difficult to analyze the financial and operational data for the center and skate park. I finally received some information at 12:37 p.m. this afternoon. I had read online that one reason for the closure was that it was not profitable to operate. I saw one figure quoted that the deficit was less than $11,000, and with city-provided services of payroll, bookkeeping, and snow removal, the deficit was around $25,000. The mayor quoted a much higher deficit at the December meeting. With Eldridge being one of the fastest growing communities, I find it difficult to to believe there are not funds available to close any deficit, nor was anyone given the opportunity to fundraise. I have heard many complaints about the current management and the difficulty in booking events. The main reason for the closure given by the mayor at the December meeting is because the city cannot operate a business. Many cities operate businesses such as aquatic facilities, golf courses, and various other recreational amenities. There is no direct competition for the skate park on the Iowa side. The city administrator's memo gave many reasons for closing the center. It sounds like it has not been run efficiently, with problems with inventory, insurance claims, and very poor financial controls, which was noted in the city's audit. Why does Eldridge continue to have problems with operations and management? At the June 2nd, 2025 joint meeting of the City Council and the Community Center Board, it was decided to wait until the end of 2026 to make a final decision. Why the rush all of a sudden to close? Again, it continues to show Eldridge in not the best light with this decision. Again, I urge City Council members to reconsider their decision to close the Eldridge Community Center and Skate Park. If nothing else, I respectfully request that City Council be fully transparent to its residents about the truth for the sudden closure and how the impacts of the closure will be addressed to the benefit of the Eldridge community. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Judith. Anybody else?
Hello, I'm Jill Hipskind, 104 North 8th Avenue Court, Donahue, Iowa. And I was here last month and spoke on behalf of the John Glenn PTO as a member who comes here for dog training and a parent of kids in the community. As a physical therapist, I can put on so many different hats for you here. But as we spoke to last month, from a public health perspective, this is one outlet for people during the winter months where they can come and get some exercise. I also feel like this facility reaches out to people who may not be the baseball player that uses Sheridan Meadows. It may not be that athlete that fits in with other groups. This appeals to a different subset of young adults, children, people who we are trying to lead and help be the leaders of our next generation. Furthermore, I think from a just public gathering space, from an ability to rent the facility, this facility is very unique as far as its ability, its cheap ability compared to some other facilities that can take this number of people. So I've attended both of my daughter's preschool graduations here. So big gatherings that people don't have huge budgets for. This is an offering that isn't anywhere else in the Quad Cities. And just to kind of echo what everybody else has said, again, the transparency when it was originally set an 18-month timeline to review the finances, and then all of a sudden at 12 months, seems like a knee-jerk reaction was made. And the big concerns about liability insurance, like the skate park, the skateboard park, the dog park, Sheridan Meadows ballparks, those bring in people from all over the Quad Cities. It's not just Eldridge community members. There's a lot of probably injuries out at those ball diamonds. You see them in the clinic the next week, the pickleball courts and other city parks. So from a liability insurance, again, this cannot be the only facility that is having claims against it. So I do think Mr. Dockery, I appreciated his point last meeting about how if the concern is how taxpayers' money is being spent, I think I would appreciate if you guys would consider the Eldridge taxpayers' say in this matter. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is James Rederer. I live at 1917 Taylor Avenue in Wilton, Iowa. I spoke last month very passionately, impromptu, about how much this center means to me and my family and the communities of which I am a member. I am a member of the Quad City Rollers. I'm a referee. I'm a member of the Quad City Cuttas. We're a skate dance crew who meets here every Tuesday. And I want to take the time today. The timer didn't restart, just by the way.
Sorry.
I wanted to take the time today to first say that I actually do agree with the council's sentiment that a city should not be running a business. My question is, why is the city trying to run the skate park and community center like a business? Have alternatives been explored? Is there anything that can be done? I have a proposal for the organization of a nonprofit to resume operations of the skate park and its facilities. It would remove liability from the city. My request tonight is not for you to think about that, but just to be open to the possibility of having a proposal for an alternative governance that would remove liability from the city, remove the burden, the financial burden from the city, and put it in the place of an entity that could take advantage of state and federal grants, private funding, fundraising. It's an opportunity to turn this into an actual community center instead of a pseudo business that's kind of run in a community-ish way. And so the only decision I'm asking for you to make tonight is to consider this. I don't know what the proper procedure for submitting a proposal, so I'd like to know that. I can find that out later. But it's a possibility, and I think it really has a chance to work. And I would appreciate the consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Hi, my name is Elisa Haight. I'm a resident of Eldridge. I also own the Eldridge Preschool along with my sister, and we twice a year use the facility. And recently, 5 days actually after you all voted so rapidly to close this event center, we had over 450 people here, mostly all residents of Eldridge or the North Scott community, celebrating a holiday program. And I have video that I would love to have shared, but I did have jury duty today, so and was not able to get all of that ready, unfortunately. But as you can imagine, it came to as a shock to my husband and I, as we sat watching the 10 o'clock news, to hear out of the blue that our community center, where we'd learned to shoot the duck, and we'd had my brother and my sister's wedding reception, and then as a business owner, we've had many, many events here, and many successful events showcasing not just our preschool business, but also what Eldridge has to offer. And I think that's a lot of what this center can do, if utilized the way it should be, and if not shut down. So again, I also have questions about the rush. Why weren't we aware? I applaud the people that were here on December 15th, I believe it was, that were at the meeting, because I had no idea. So obviously they were more up on the political scene of Eldridge than I. Believe me, had I known that was coming down the pipes, I would have been there, guns blazing, mind you. Let's see. The community center is more than just a building. For decades, it's been a gathering place for families, neighbors, and a community groups of all ages. It's a space where children take put on their first pair of skates, where families celebrate milestones, where seniors can find connections, and where organizations such as mine create meaningful experiences, core memories that benefit our children and strengthen the sense of community. Sense of community is huge. I grew up here. This place has been here since I was a child. I can't imagine it not being here. And I can't imagine it not being here without the say of very more community members than 5. I have more, but if my time is up, my time is up.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I did not plan to really speak here tonight, but I agree with what everybody else has said.
Your name, please?
I'm sorry, my name is Nathan Burris, Gulfview Drive in Eldridge. The comment's been made, reading the past notes, that this facility, you know, needs to be run like a business. And I'd just like to make a few key points. The city, I'm a business owner. I know what it takes to run a business. The public sector should not be run like a business. Our parks are not run like a business. Our law enforcement is not run like a business. It's run for the benefit of the community. This is a community that has seen value in this when they built it. It's seen value in this when they continue to fund it and maintain it. So to sit here and say, without transparency to the public, to go and just say that, oh, well, we're going to end this because it's not profitable, it's not right. I know on the agenda today is how to wind it down. That's asking the wrong question.
Right.
We need to be going back and asking, why was the community who has saw fit to invest in this all these years not given a say, right? If there's a budget to be made up, that can be made up a number of different ways. Those options need to be explored, because once this is shut down, there's no bringing it back. Whatever's next for this building or for this place, we won't be able to raise the funds to bring it back when there's somebody else in these seats in a little while. This community is owed a voice in what happens here with this building. And that's all there is to it. Everybody else can go up here and give a whole bunch of reasons for all these great things and all that's happened. I agree with all of that, but the big thing is this community is deserving of a voice, period.
Thank you.
Do you need my address? Or just
the city.
okay. My name is The Timer.
Yeah, let's get a new timer.
I have to get a new person running the timer. That's fine.
Okay. My name is Eva Wyatt. I live in Eldridge. I could come up here and just give a long-winded reason for why I think you should at least extend the deadline if you are not going to go to a vote to change the decision. However, I would instead like to take this time to thank my coworkers and commend them for their hard work over this past month. You have shown up during uncertainty, and you have done it in strides. You could have come here, just been mosey, not put this best foot forward, but instead you came here and you did your best to make this experience beautiful for the people that have been here in this past month. So I'd like to thank you guys for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'm going to lower the microphone.
Yeah, he was way up there, wasn't he? My name is Scott Case. I've been an Eldridge resident for nearly 50 years. I know every one of you sitting up here. And I have a lot of confidence in what's going on here. I really do. When Ken Yossi walked into here in the very beginning and we started to build this building, it was with some great hopes for the youth of Eldridge, Iowa. We got a great community. It killed me to watch the videos of people talking about my city council, who is as strong as it's ever been, and our leadership, who is as strong as it's ever been. There's some hurting out there. I stood up in church Sunday morning, and I'm amazed at how many people knew nothing about it. And I guess I'm here tonight to say I've got a lot of confidence in every one of you who are my neighbors, my friends, people I care about greatly, people that I've lived for 9 seasons in Des Moines with. I know you'll make the right decision. I know you will. And I just, having a dad that was a mayor for 10 years, I just can't see our public people who are willing to serve us be downgraded for a decision that they're making that is different than theirs. I do have the confidence you'll figure out a way to make this what's best for Eldridge. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Ashley Bertine. I'm from East Moline. I live in the Quad Cities, but I've worked in Eldridge for the last 4 years. I came here to talk about the skate park. I've been attending the skate and line dance nights on a regular basis. It's wonderful. I hope you find a way to preserve this piece of local culture while also addressing the issues we're in. I've listened to the previous meetings and it left me confused. I'm curious why no safety waivers are implemented at the skate park when a major point of the last meeting was that insurance rates were so high. It was said that a single lawsuit could bankrupt all of Eldridge, yet the trampoline park in town uses safety waivers for the assumption of risk. Why not use something similar here? Also, I think the people of Eldridge deserve to vote on where their resources go. Why not allow the people of Eldridge to vote on what should be done with their community center? It stood for 30 years, and you can't rebuild 30 years of history in a day. A few more questions I hope are addressed. What is the plan for the building? Will the building be sold? If it's staying in the city's possession, will its new purpose generate enough revenue to cover the cost of the building's maintenance? And what will be done with the skating equipment? Will it be sold off or kept for use in the community? Can they be rented out to local gymnasiums? Can they sell the skate park portion to preserve the park itself, but take its responsibilities out of the city's hands? What options have been explored beyond closure? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Okay. I'm Jamie Stecker. I live in Long Grove. I am the current manager of the Eldridge Community Center. And first of all, I want to thank all of you. Welcome, Jeff. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, but I definitely want to thank the council. I know this was not an easy decision for you at all. I know that you guys had a lot of weight on your shoulders, and your decision was on what you thought was best. And I do genuinely believe that you were looking for taxpayers' interests. But some of the things that I want to ask, I know that the decision is not reversible, but I would like to talk about the possibility of extending the closure past January 31st. And last time I was asked to go through larger events that were contracted to determine how many of those events were Eldridge residents. Adrian brought up a point. He wanted to know how many of those events included North Scott School District. That number was not included in there, and to be honest, it was a little bit more for the last year. It was an additional 12 events for that, so there was more events that hit what you were asking, Adrian. But one thing that we are not able to track exactly is our public events, our open skates, our line dance events, dog training. Tonight you had 19 people here, and of those 19 people that use it, 17 were from Eldridge. Open skates, we have those twice a week. That's 104 times a year, and there are Eldridge residents every single time. I've had 7 line dance events a night, and over half of those people are, there's a lot of Eldridge residents that come to those. We also have a homeschool community here that the first and third Friday, their community is growing. Quite a few of those are from Eldridge as well. They use that for their physical education curriculum in their schooling, and that community is very upset to be losing this right now, and they go from August to May for us and take a break for the summer. This time of year is definitely the busiest for our public events, and the time of year that Eldridge residents are using it. So tonight when you go over the suggestion to close it by the 31st, I would like you to keep in mind that this is the time of year that your residents are using it the most. because it is cold outside, they are looking for stuff for their kids to do to keep them out of trouble. So when thinking about tonight, please keep that in mind. And then the other points that were already brought up, the QC Cuttas and the Derby, they are, self-insured. Just talking about, they already talked about what they wanted. And also with people offering to discuss taking over it, if there's no other plans for the building right now, I do think that that should be considered as well. Thank you for your time, and thank you again.
Good evening. My name is Bill Hyde, Nicholas Court, Parkview, Eldridge. So I'm here on behalf of North Scott Trap Club. I've been in contact with some of the city council already, and they've been very helpful. The North Scott Trap Club represents 60 families, and we've held an event here over the last 10 years. That event's pretty large. It holds over 400 people, which this facility is unique in that it can handle a crowd that large. Of those families, the majority of them, except for about 2 or 3, are North Scott or DeWitt families, and they always enjoy this facility. The staff, the night of, has always been very helpful. Holding our event, it's a very large event, we understand that, so again, this is just a very good place for us to hold it. I understand that the council has responsibilities both to the taxpayer and the community, and again, like I said, I've been in contact with Nevada, and she's been very helpful with some of the questions, because after the last meeting, my phone starts blowing up at night going, oh, what are we going to do? Because we had an event scheduled, and I have seen the recommendation for the current closure, and we appreciate consideration for our event, which is after that. So just kind of wanted to touch base and describe what our club has used this facility for, like I said, over 10 years. We appreciate the affordability and the availability that the club offers, and pretty much the staff, like I said, that's been here have been very helpful. I understand you guys have very difficult decisions to make, and it's not easy, but I just wanted to appreciate the chance to speak tonight and kind of represent the club. So if you have any questions about the club or our event, Nevada has my contact info. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
There. My name is Bob Martin. I'm from Clinton, Iowa, and I just recently found out about this place possibly being closed, and I just wanted to come here tonight to show my support. I've been bringing my 3 children here since sometime in 23, almost 3 years now. It's where my 3 children learned to skate, and it is probably one of our biggest winter activities every year. I would say, guarantee we spend at least a half a dozen times a year here, if not more. On average, probably once a month. So I think the woman that was up here earlier and talked about, her childhood memories. Skating was one of my biggest childhood memories. I would enjoy sharing that with my children. So I really hope that you guys find a way to either keep this place open or move it on to somebody that can maybe open it back up. So, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Bob.
Hi, my name is Peggy Ohl. I live at 2260 Stonebrook Lane, and I just want to emphasize again what everybody else has already talked about. I just want to ask a couple rhetorical questions. And when this vote, or when the memo went out in December, and it was put on the agenda before the last meeting, I think it was, I can't remember the date, but did the city council already know what the plan was for this building? These are rhetorical questions. You guys might have answers in your head. Do they know now what the plan is for the building? And I just want to again express my disappointment in the fact that this went so quickly without any community input, no vote, no ability to express what the community wants. The city council is supposed to represent the residents of Eldridge, and it seemed like they were more looking to act on the wishes of the staff of the city. And then another thing is I didn't know that the rollerblades were self-insured. They insure themselves. So, and I know there's open skate, but that would be a huge portion of the risk, the roller derby club. So I just wanted to again express my disappointment that the city council went ahead and did this without any community able to communicate what our thoughts were. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Stephanie. I live on Donahue Street in Eldridge. I spoke to you guys last month. I have emailed you. Jeff, you emailed me back today. I appreciate the communication. Eva is my daughter, and she did ask if I would come up and just finish this on her behalf to the staff that has been working here. She's so proud of all of you and all of your hard work this past month has been very uncertain. It speaks volumes to your character, that you showed up and did your best to celebrate kids' birthdays and put your heart into teaching kids how to skate. Your dedication did not go unnoticed. And then also, I would like to just say, most of you have heard the story or recently heard it, but I just would like to reiterate, we moved here from another state when my daughter started kindergarten. Our first real introduction to the community, North Scott community in Eldridge, was here at A School Skate. She learned to skate here. She did roller derby here. She works here now. We were hoping to celebrate, to kind of put a little bow on everything. We were hoping to celebrate her graduation here as well. I believe we're in some of the events that are canceled now, so we are going to be taking our celebration. Unfortunately, outside of Eldridge, there is no other venue in Eldridge that is quite like this. There's formal venues and there's smaller venues, but there is not a large venue for informal activities. By informal, not weddings, graduation parties, graduations themselves for the preschools. So anyways, I know you guys probably can't reverse the decision, but I would really ask that you consider, if you are staying open for other events, why the rest should shut off the skating right now. So anyways, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Seeing none, I just want to say, trust me, I appreciate the passion. I mean, we've all heard this, and it may not seem like it, but your words do not fall on deaf ears. They really don't. This is a difficult decision, it has been, and I want you to know that you have been heard. So thank you all for coming and speaking.
Can we find out what the next step will be?
Later on this evening's agenda, there is an agenda item for that, and we'll talk about it then. All right, moving on. You have the city council minutes from our December 15th meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Yossi. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Bills payable. Tonight's bills were included in your packet or emailed to you. Does anybody have any questions of Nevada, Tracy, or Jeff?
The only point I wanted to make on that is on the NAPA charges for vehicles, there's parts listed out, but there's no unit numbers on that first section. So maybe just make sure they're putting those unit numbers on there. It's on here.
We've got a couple that are quieter than the others because of the inputs.
Other than that, I had no other questions. Talk louder, Marty.
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I have no other questions, so I'd make a motion that we pay the bills.
Motion by Ashcraft. Ryan, you have a question?
No, I have no questions. Everything looked in order this time. I asked Nevada about the updated bills that came out today. So I'll second his motion.
Second by Dockery. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. You also have seen the list of appointees for 2026. It was in your packet. Just a couple of things to highlight. Jeff Ashcraft will be the mayor pro tem. And even though he is our newest member to the council, he's been diligent with his homework and getting up to speed. But probably most importantly, he has served as chairman of the park board and has proven to be able to run an efficient and productive meeting. So we look forward to having Jeff step in when necessary. You will also notice that we've done away with committee assignments. That was a suggestion that Brian has always talked about. I believe that every council member should be part of every discussion. And so issues that were previously discussed at the finance, personnel, or public safety committee level will now be tackled at committee of the whole meetings before our regular council meetings, so everybody will have a say-so in that. It's important for all of us to be informed on all the issues.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Just for you, Brian. And then the appointment of the fire chief is to be determined. We were notified by the fire department that Keith Schneckloth decided to step down at the end of 2025, and to our knowledge, a new chief has not yet been elected. So when we find that out, we will appoint that chief as well. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the appointments for 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dockery, second by Ashcraft. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item of business, old business. Consideration to approve Resolution 2026-02, approving the recommendation for the Eldridge City Community Center closing procedures. Jeff, would you talk us through this?
Thank you, Mayor. Based on some of the comments that we've had here tonight and some of the comments I've seen online, there's a lot of confusion about how the community center was set up and how the community center is run. I'll attempt to clarify that. I've written a lot of notes here so I don't forget anything. A lot of people have mentioned tonight, I know the Quad City Rollers, this was their focus last time. Some people have mentioned it tonight about the affordability of the facility. The focus of the staff is the detrimental impact that a lot of these agreements have caused the taxpayers, and the affordable rate that is being charged is what created the deficit that the Eldridge taxpayers have been footing the bill for. And we're to the tune of, $300,000 here. It's not 12,000, it's not 10,000. It's available in the audits that were published for 2023, 2024, and within a week here we'll have one that's published for 2025. Feel free to look at those. I know someone posted that in one of the comments.
Cumulative, what is that number? Annual, cumulative, what was it?
Cumulative, yeah, $300,000 over the last 5 years. But that being said, the deficit was not the most imminent concern of the city staff. At the last meeting, the most imminent concern was kind of lost in the chaos of that meeting. But the memo clearly stated, and I'll quote from the memo, the most imminent concern from the perspective of the city staff is the exposure to risk and liability due to the current financial processes. The major issues include, but are not limited to, daily reconciling and depositing, frequent discrepancies in sales reports, high volume of voids, cash on hand amounts and cash handling procedures, lack of internal controls, compliance with monthly and annual reporting requirements, credit card transactions and employee discounts, inventory of consumable products is not done to ensure loss prevention with alcoholic beverages and other items that are high risk of being given away or taken. These issues led to non-compliance with state regulations and result in finding reported on the city's annual financial audit. These have all been published. I believe they're available on the website. They also significantly increase our loss potential and risk of claims associated with fraud. So that's a lot of concerns. None of that was really discussed at the last meeting, but it was listed in the memo as our most imminent concern. So, making sure the public understands the deficit, while highly concerning to all of us, was our secondary concern. The most imminent concern, which is part of the public record, is why this facility is closing. The sooner that happens, the sooner these concerns will be alleviated. Now on to how this facility was set up. Everyone in this room and the public at large needs to understand, and I hope the NSP quotes me on this, is that the community center is set up as a non-major enterprise fund, and they operate on user fees. Another example of this would be the city sewer department. The sewer department is a major enterprise fund operating on user fees paid by Eldridge residents using that service. This is why the community center cannot accept donations and in most cases is not eligible for grant funding. So the people tonight that talked about why are you running it as business? Because we have to. It's set up that way. This is also what sets the community center apart from the Parks Department, which operates on funds from the city general fund. City code states, the community center is intended to be an enterprise fund of the city, and as such, the proceeds from the city shall be kept separate and distinct from other funds of the city. So not one dime from the general fund should be used to support the community center. And this is not Jeff Martin's opinion. This is city code, this is state law. The people at this table cannot change state law. We're all bound to follow state law. I've been privately contacted by several prominent business owners and engaged residents who support the closing of the community center. I know that the mayor and other members of the council have also been contacted by people as well. I've seen comments online supporting it. I believe these people represent the silent majority and they support the closure. There's 7,000 residents in Eldridge. You know, we've got 45, 50 people here this evening. So, on to Resolution 2026-02, approving closure procedures for the Eldridge Community Center. The City Council voted to discontinue operations of the Community Center at the last meeting. This resolution outlines what, given the circumstances, the mayor and the staff feel is the best compromise to accomplish this. We hope that the City Council will unanimously approve this recommendation of this resolution. And I'll turn it back over to the mayor to present the resolution.
Thank you, Jeff. You have the resolution in front of you. I would entertain a motion to approve that recommendation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by AOC, second by Ashcraft. Now we have time to discuss. And this is what we're here for tonight.
Why are you looking at me when you say
I wasn't. I was just...
Obviously, I was not in favor of closing the community center. I thought there was other things we could do. In our committee of the whole, the toughest decision you have to make is one that you don't agree with. Unfortunately, the council approved closing it 3-2. I think Adrian and I were the two against it. Now, and we had talked about coming up with a process. And I think, Jeff, you just said the mayor and staff came up with this timeline?
Correct, yeah.
I would assume that the council would have come up with the timeline, because ultimately we have the final say-so. The mayor doesn't get to vote, and city staff works for the council. I think this schedule is very, very aggressive, you know, in the time frame. You know, I don't know, I wasn't part of the conversation. We have dates extended. What was omitted in between those dates? I guess I'd like to know those.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got a statement right here.
Well, that kind of stuff helps us to make a decision.
Yeah, and it tells you in the memo what's canceled.
But this is the first that me as a council member is seeing this. Well, I shouldn't say that. I saw it Friday when my packet came out.
As did the rest of us.
Correct. I think if anything, this should be delayed at least one meeting so we can decipher all this. I know you'll question what's one meeting going to make. I think the shock when I read this was, that's aggressive. After last meeting in December, when it was voted on, it came out, the comment was made, this is going to take several months to get this done. Now, is this what was meant by the several months? We're going to do a handful of events over the next 4 months? I just think this, with the knowledge I know, I think this is just too aggressive without knowing all the facts. And I don't think it hurt to go one meeting to get all that information out. We owe it to the public, to what it is.
Jeff? Well, did I just miss something, or Jeff, you got additional context you can share as to?
Yeah, I mean, your memo tells you what's canceled. It's not listed in the resolution.
Okay, but I guess what I'm looking for is the thinking, the philosophy behind why the ones that are still here are here, and why the ones that potentially are canceled may be canceled.
But Jeff, number 2, that's what I'll tell you. City staff has known this for well over a week.
Has known what?
This information was canceled. Well over a week. Nevada was on vacation last week with her family.
This was not put together until the end of the week last week, Brian. This was Jeff and Tracy worked with us in Nevada and meetings before she left.
Okay, and I guess why wasn't the council brought in on this decision-making before today?
Because it was in your packet on Friday, and we're discussing it here tonight.
Okay.
I said in the audience at the December meeting, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I have a steep learning curve here. Did we not hear that the staff was sent back to put a plan together to close?
I don't believe the staff was. It was mentioned that it's going to take months to come back with a plan. We at a council
I believe
meeting,
what I heard, Brian, was that staff was to put together a plan together and present something. So again, I'm new to this. God knows I didn't expect this to be my very first council meeting, something like this, but my expectation was that we would be presented a plan in our packet that would then be part of tonight's discussion. So maybe I misunderstood.
part of the discussion, which it is currently, we're discussing it. I just think, get information on Friday, and we're supposed to, mull all this information and come up with a decision on Monday. I mean, we're affecting a lot of people here.
I understand.
And I don't think another 2 weeks is going to change the outcome, other than we will have everything pretty defined. I mean,
right? Your Honor, I just want to take a minute and I want to read something. I don't normally do this, but I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't want to waste your time either and talk too much. But to start with, we did decide that we would, put a plan together as far as whether normally city staff gives us options and ideas, and we as a council go back and forth with it. So if we want to have more of that discussion, I've got no problem with that. But what is the definition of a community center? A community center is a public or nonprofit facility that serves as a gathering place for people in a specific community. It is designed to support social, educational, cultural, and recreational activities that meet the needs of local residents. Currently, the primary use is operating a skate rink and a rental space for events such as weddings, bat mitzvahs, and other similar gatherings which fees are charged. Even the city pays to use the space for city council meetings. This does not sound like a community center to me. This sounds more like a for-profit business. The current concerns of the skate park began well over a year ago. These concerns were cited from the city's attorney, insurance company, and city staff. Recent audits have outlined these deficiencies. Other concerns were financial stability. Initially, we agreed to 12 months, not 18. And then later, when the new manager was hired, we agreed to extend that to 18 months to be fair to her and the community center board. I have nothing but respect for that board. They were always doing what was in the best interest to turn it all around with the tools that they had available. Even with the new manager in place, the deficiencies and risk continued or increased. Here's my assessment. Operating a government entity and operating a for-profit business are completely different, and somebody mentioned that. Proper management has been an ongoing issue here for years. The systems in place, or the lack thereof, have put the city at an increased liability. Look at the recent audits again. This is also increasing the city's exposure. At what point does continuing to subsidize losses for a skate park and event center being used primarily by non-residents seem fiscally responsible to the city and the citizens of Eldridge? 2025, 26% of skate parties and events were Eldridge residents. In 2024, between 19 and 27% were Eldridge residents. There was 9 that were unknown. One adult manager and high school students makes operating this place difficult. There would need to be at least 2 or 3 adults involved and at higher wages than what's currently available. You can't expect success without providing the tools to be successful. Eldridge has had its share of problems: lawsuits, theft, corruption. As a city council, some of the roles including making sure the city is being fiscally responsible, reduce risk and liability, and act as a voice for the people of Eldridge. This council has had recommendations from the city attorney, city staff, our insurance company that operating a skate park and event center is a risk that is not worth the reward. Do I vote based on my emotional attachment to a skate park that I grew up in, as did my kids? Or do I vote based on what is of the best interest for the city of Eldridge and the taxpayers? Contrary to social media reports, there are no official plans for this building. No, the building is not sold, and no, there's no deals in place. Going forward, we as a council need to determine what will be done with the building and the assets. Here's my first suggestion. My suggestion would be to first set out a timeline for opportunities or offers to lease or purchase in hopes of keeping it similar. James, I would love to talk to you later. After, if that does not work, then we can look at opening it for sale on the open market. But absolutely, if we can find a way to operate this with the cities not being responsible for it, such as a private organization or a nonprofit, I am 100% for that. But there's always more to the story. I dug in here. I'm not the liaison, or was not the liaison last year for the board. That was Dan Collins. He's no longer here. But when I started seeing things go wrong, I inserted myself. I got granular with it. I didn't just show up at meetings every 2 weeks and find out what was going on, what were the updates. I got involved. I wanted to see the processes. I came out here at night and watched them work. I watched them keeping track of admissions on a yellow notebook pad doing a check mark. I'm trying to do what I can to stand up for the citizens of Eldridge. I don't want to see this place go away. But I also don't want that burden to be on taxpayers when they're using it 23, 25, or 30% of the time. There's got to be other options out there. We need to look at those options. We don't need to look at selling it for storage or selling it or turning it into a police department or fire department or whatever else people want to assume is happening. There is no deals on the table. We need, as a council now, to work together and find out a solution moving forward of how do we shut it down and do it for the best interest.
And I think that, Ryan, you're absolutely right. We have had no discussion whatsoever what to do with this building. We also have talked about in the past, if somebody wants to buy it and keep it open as a skating rink or reception area, great. We're more than happy to talk to them. We've made those comments in the past. You know, we would be supportive of that. And I think we've said that in the past. But Ryan is spot on.
I want to thank you guys for your comment. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Ryan, thank you for your comment and due diligence and having something prepared. The rest of the council members here tonight. I believe from a council standpoint and from serving this committee, where we went wrong at with this deal here is, first of all, there should have been a plan put in place before any type of closure. We should have had something, there should have been discussions with the city, with council, either open session, closed session, to know firsthand what possibly next steps would be before this was sprung on us. We have individuals here, and I believe, Mayor, you said, well, your voices are heard. Well, maybe the voices are heard, but when we proceed without investigating everything further and looking at the ins and outs and check marks, have we really done everything possible? So, I don't know. Okay, so there was questions, and I talked to Nevada today regarding this being on here. Yes, we voted. So I know Councilman Darby and I were different opinions, but it was 3-2 vote for closure. So what's next with that? But do we really have to go that route? Are there other alternatives right now? You know, we have a new council member. We have a seat that's open. We had different ideas here too that weren't brought up previously. So, and if we knew that there were missteps regarding the financial and management, then I was like, I wanted to know where that mentoring was. Why did it take 5 years until now, until this was brought up? I just think, you know, back and forth, and you know, I'd be the first to say, I think maybe there's probably some shortcomings with communications as to, you know, being open and having this information, and from a council standpoint too, maybe asking further questions before we got to this point. And when we get to this point right now, almost a point of no return, you know, and I'm talking to you as well, you know, it's almost like, share, you know, if I can turn back time, is it possible to turn back time? I was under the impression that no, the vote's been done, it's 3-2. We have to continue to closing the facility. But do we have to? And with this discussion tonight, the recommendations, thank you guys for doing your recommendations, all due respect. But again, it's, you know, it's the council who has that ultimate decision as to what this looks like if we do proceed with closure. But what are the alternatives out there? It feels like items really haven't been explored regarding the communication process without maybe really hearing the voice of our community. We're elected officials. We are here to be a voice for them. Besides maybe one email, possibly two, is the only support that I think I've received regarding support for closing this. Everything else has been regarding keeping it open, per se. So I want to make sure that this is a fair process, not only for our city staff doing the due diligence and work to investigate this, but also for us elected officials, that we're doing the right thing by the community. And we talked about taxpayers, we talked about support in those elders residents, those non-elders residents. Do we have to change the name from a community center to a recreation center or something else so we can avoid this and take a different perspective, a different approach possibly? And last but not least, well, Councilman Darby, I think you mentioned before, putting on the ballot, you know, with this on here. Let the residents decide with that. I know you're not going to make everybody happy, you know, with us elected officials, and I know you guys will remember that as our terms are up. But let the community members come out. We can give them the facts. We can be open. We can be honest. We can be transparent when that time allows us, and let them make that ultimate decision. But if anything, we move forward. Let's not create any headaches for those individuals who might have things planned with weddings. We heard from a member tonight regarding graduation. There's no other events for graduations. I know that weddings, sometimes there was a plan 2-3 years out with invitations, and trying to change that for different location. Even finding a different location right now might be difficult. So let's consider that. Let's have some compassion no matter what route we ultimately go, and honor those contracts, those calls, that we're not making a hardship on the community or these members who are counting on using this facility moving forward. Thank you, guys.
And you make a great point, Adrian, but let's look at, are we talking about Eldridge residents? If you look at your memo, you have one wedding planned in October, and in Kingston-Era is in June. Neither one are Eldridge residents. Both of those parties are aware that their events may be canceled. So that's not an Eldridge resident thing. The only other things being canceled are school skates, and there are 10 of them. Not a single Eldridge school is part of that school skates. Most of them are Davenport and Bettendorf, except for John Glenn and Alan Shepard. Those are 3 events out of all the 10 school skates. So those are the only events that they're being canceled here. And that's the recommendation that the staff put forward. Everything else is on the table. We're gonna do the trap shoot thing. We're gonna do the chamber thing. City staff is gonna take that on. We're gonna let AMWAF continue to do their training in May or in April. We're gonna let the preschools do their graduation taken on by city staff. So if you read the memo, it's pretty clear. I think that we have been very transparent with this if you look at your stuff.
Mayor, I have looked at my stuff, and I take offense for your comments. Your comments last time as well, before you were mayor. It's not about Eldridge and Eldridge residents. It's about honoring those and being respectful to those individuals here who are counting on this. Let's not give Eldridge a black eye anymore, okay? Let's be respectful for these individuals and allow them to continue with that, okay? Eldridge is a great place. Individuals are coming here to utilize this facility. We get individuals coming here to invest. We got people coming here to live, to raise families, to retire. And I think one of the catalysts is this facility here. So let's not have that ultimate focus on that per se. And again, so as an elected council member and being in the city government here in Eldridge for 18 years, I do my due diligence. I do read, I do ask questions with that. So I kind of take offense to that, Mayor, and not certain what personal, motives or anything that you might have with this. It's just everything seems to be rushed. The fulfillment of a council seat appeared to be rushed until we scaled back and looked at extending that. So from the second on, and with this closure, it just seems to be, so I'm not certain with that. I'm here as always to work with you in the city, in the community, and not against anybody. So I would kind of appreciate the snide comments left, so Eldridge is better than that. So, okay, sir? Thank you.
You felt disrespected. I apologize, Adrian. However, we'll leave it at that. Jeff, you haven't spoken yet.
Well, I think Brian has his hand up.
Scott. I'm not here tonight to rehash what we went through at the last meeting. I was not in favor of it. The majority of the council approved it. Now it's my job to work through that to the best I can. And that's one of those tough decisions where you're doing something you don't agree with. Hard thing about being on council. This memorandum that we put out, I would have less of a problem with this if right now you've got through May 28th, Children's Choice graduation last month. I'd have less of a problem if the school skates continued up until that period. Even though you said 3 out of 9 or 3 out of 10 schools are from North Scott.
Brian, what was that date again?
May 28th. It's on the memo. The dog training, continue that up until that May 28th. All those things. It's twofold. It keeps this place active till then. Plus, if we do have an entity that's interested in trying to take it over and continue to run it, it's a lot better to have an entity that's running smooth instead of scaling back and trying to pick it back up. So that's where I'm at with this.
I appreciate your feedback, Brian. That clarifies it a little bit for me. I also want to just say I understand why people are disappointed The community center, skate park has made a great deal to so many people for decades, including myself. I've brought kids out here, had kids' parties out here. I met presidential candidates out here. I've been to weddings, or wedding receptions rather. I've been to fundraisers out here. It has been something special for so many people. The decision to close, though, was not taken lightly. I've watched these, as you did too if you paid attention, watched all of these council members struggle with this. And I've had some conversations with some of them behind the scenes, and they're literally struggling with it. It's painful. And I would say that most of what I've heard from residents is what you saw from council members. I'm torn. I get it. It's a financial black hole, and it's a liability nightmare. But man, I raised my kids going out there. This was such a great thing to do. I grew up learning, as somebody said earlier, to shoot the duck. And so those memories are not only important, they deserve to be acknowledged. And the challenge that we have here now, though, is not about our memories, it's about the facts at hand. And I'm not trying to relitigate this at all, because from my perspective, you all made that decision last month. The reality is the center cannot continue operating with the ongoing financial support. We just heard that from Jeff. So as a program that's in this enterprise fund, is that right? Am I using the phrasing right? Sorry, again, I'm new to this. We can no longer subsidize it from general funds of the city.
Never should have been subsidized.
Never should have. And so now that we know that we can't do that, I will never vote to do that because it's against state law. So that's a real problem as far as us extending things even further, Brian. And the second thing to consider is the liability, which Jeff pointed out, is the bigger issue of the finance. Actually, I think they're equal issues in my book. But the liability issue, from my perspective, isn't just about somebody falling and breaking an elbow or those types of injuries like that. It's the financial controls liability. It's the alcohol management liability. It's the personal injury liability if somebody does something silly out in the parking lot and all of a sudden we're the ones with the deepest pockets because it's our property, and our insurance company has said it can take one claim to make the municipality uninsurable. How do we justify that and then not be able to fund it by taking funds from the general fund? It's untenable to do this. So we have to balance the memories with the facts at hand, and that's why, as hard as it is to say it, I support the decision that was made by the council last month. And so now the next steps are, how do we close this in a controlled way? I hear what you're saying. Let's keep it going. My concern is this: how do we pay for it, and how do we limit the liability issues, knowing that we are this far away from one claim that could make the municipality uninsurable, and two, that we can't plug the gap with general fund funds. How do we do that?
Well, we can require insurance waivers. That's one.
But you and I both know that insurance waivers oftentimes are not worth the paper they're written on. It all depends on who's got the deepest pockets, and a good legal counsel will go after who's ever got the deepest legal pocket, or got the deepest pockets, which in this case would be the city of Eldridge. Our job here is to be the best stewards of our tax dollars possible.
Financially, back in December, and I don't want to go back and litigate what we did, at that time, the deficit was a little over $10,000. $10,000 for the fiscal year.
Okay, but we have got a $300,000 gap over the past 5 years, a $70,000 gap that we're tracking. We talked about, or you all talked about, taking a $100,000 cash reserve, which we now know we cannot do out of the general fund, correct? But even if we could, would plug a $70,000 gap just to get it to zero, leaving $30,000 left, which won't even cover 3 months. Do I have my math correct?
The $100,000 cash reserve shows up in the community center budget.
Did that come out of the general fund? Not 300,000. 100,000 in reserve. Brian said that there's 100,000 in reserve.
That would include the subsidies from the city over the years.
So we can't legally authorize that, correct?
Right.
Well, if we can't authorize it, why is it in the budget?
Right.
Well, I think.
But that's a whole different subject. The way the budget looks.
I think the subsidization of the enterprise fund has been some new enlightenment, is that correct?
We as a city have put money into this facility. It was, we probably put $500,000-$600,000 in this structure within the last 10 years.
Sure.
The curtain's right behind you.
Including lights just a few months ago, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Working on stuff. The city owns the real property.
Correct.
So the city has always put the money funding those.
But the gap is operational. And so if the gap is operational, we legally cannot take that $100,000 reserve or any other general fund reserve, whether it's in the budget or not, those legally cannot be used to plug the gap.
In the current budget, there is a $50,000 capital improvements on the expense side.
Okay, so but that's for CapEx.
But it shows up on their books.
I know, but it's CapEx. And you know as well as I do, your buckets stay in CapEx or operational.
And over the years, and Scott, you can disagree with me if we want. There was capital improvement money going to the park board, which was diverted to the community center.
Say that one more time.
The fitness center.
Fitness center.
Say that one more time.
There's money from the park board diverted to the fitness centers.
Correct.
Now, those are all under our GRS. This place, when it was set up, it went through a bond referendum, and the ruling was the entity had to be self-sufficient. Doesn't have to make a profit, it's got to be self-sufficient.
From my perspective, I could care less if it made a profit, just as long as it sustains itself, because that's what I now understand the enterprise fund to mean.
Right. And I'm saying with the $100,000 that's in cash reserves for this facility, regardless how it got there, it's been there for a while.
Doesn't matter, you can't do it, it's against
Why
the
are we
law.
subsidizing it from the general revenue fund?
Because that's where it was allocated from, if I'm understanding it correctly. Again, I'm the rookie here, but the way I understand it, if it comes out of the general fund, it is literally against Iowa state law to utilize it for an enterprise fund. Am I correct?
And
so I can't vote for that.
Can we sit here and say 100% of that came out of the general revenue fund? Over the years in the past, this place did turn a little profit.
Okay, well, okay. How do you parse out accruals over the course of years?
I'm just saying right now, you say financial, right now we're 10,000, 11,000 in the red for fiscal year.
Our agenda, or the auditors are going to be here next week that have the dollar figures for FY25, but the deficit for FY23 was...
I don't care about 23, I'm talking about this fiscal year.
We'll have those numbers officially, hopefully this week even from the auditors.
We should have those numbers now.
The current fiscal year, in December, it was 10,000, and that was purely operating. That doesn't account for what is in the budget to subsidize. So that's 10,000 just operating, only less than halfway through the fiscal year. Plus adding on top of that the investment subsidizing and the transfer that we do at the end of each fiscal year, which equates to about $40,000 each year. So if you were to account for that, which is already guaranteed in the budget, plus 10,000, we are technically negative 50,000 only halfway through the fiscal year now.
And that balances out with $50,000 capital improvement funds that was put on the expense side.
How about this month?
But I'm not here to hash it out.
Right, and I think we're kind of getting on topic
Right.
here. I just have a question, Brian. So are you concerned at all about the financial liabilities that Jeff outlined as the imminent concerns, the processes and procedures that are in place? They're his big questions. Are you concerned about that?
I am concerned about that. It's been going on. The community center board's made great steps for improving this out here.
It's gotten worse over the last 6 months.
But
It hasn't improved, it's gotten worse.
But, okay, if it's gotten worse, then we have another problem too. I mean, why haven't we been training and getting everybody up to speed? I mean,
And we've got dozens and dozens of emails that Nevada has sent to the utility, or to the community center board chairman and some other community center board members with these concerns that haven't been addressed.
I think Nevada can speak to that maybe.
Can I ask one question real quick about the community center board? they have jurisdiction over hiring and management of staff, is that correct? Am I understanding correctly?
I will quote from you from City Code. City Code establishes a community center board with responsibility to A, maintain and operate the Eldridge Community Center, B, keep a budget, C, hire employees, and D, purchase necessary equipment. City administration doesn't have the ability to do any of those things that I just said. That's what City Code sets forth as what the community center board does. They're an enterprise fund. They're separate from the city.
Was it set up that way? Gosh, if I'm the one taking us down the rabbit hole, I apologize. Was it set up that way initially because it was an enterprise fund?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Because that is almost an unmanageable situation for a volunteer board to do. I mean, it's an impossible, God bless them for doing it, but it's for them to try to manage and then institute the proper controls is
correct.
Impossible. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that.
Yeah, and it's impossible for a manager to work 200 hours a week to keep this going. I mean, that's what we're saying. I mean, it's an impossible situation, and that's led to all these concerns.
It's been set up that way for years. It's just been ignored and ignored and ignored. That's the reality.
But that's on council, that's on us, on previous councils and the city and previous cities. So like I said, why did it get this far, this bad? And why weren't we given information to be transparent so we can make an accurate decision? I might have, maybe I would have had a different opinion on the 15th when I possibly made my vote. But as a council member, I need everything at my disposal. Even the details. For me to make an accurate decision that's weighing on the citizens here, I need everything at my disposal, and I felt that that has been done, and it's coming out now, and all there's information coming out, which I should have had last month, or 2 months ago, or a year ago even.
Okay. We were supposed to have a meeting on December 12th, and we were supposed to meet have another joint meeting with the community center board at their request to talk about financials. 2 members, and I emailed you this information, correct, Adrian? So you did. So 2 members of the, please let me finish. 2 members of the board could make that meeting. 3 members said they couldn't. One of those members showed up in the audience, so they could have had quorum, and we could have that discussion. When administration found out that we couldn't have that discussion at that meeting, that's what led to the memo being on the agenda on December 15th. So that forced our hand. We couldn't, because of the most intimate concerns, which I've now talked about a couple of times, we couldn't just let this keep going on for months and months and months, because it's not being done properly.
And the liability risk gets deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yes, and so that forced our hand. We had to write the memo to do that. If we could have had that meeting and had the financial discussion, then we wouldn't have had to write the memo and spring it on everyone as what they say happened.
Well, just out of due diligence and in our respect, I think as a council, we should have had that information beforehand. And if it wasn't in the meeting per se, we have had special meetings before. We have open meetings, we have closed meetings. We probably should have had to come together so we can sit down and discuss this and get everything out, so we can make notes and make decisions and have this information beforehand. That's all I'm saying. I'm not pointing blame at anybody. I'm just saying, past, present, future. The communication has to be there so we have everything at our disposal so we know fully. So there's no gaps in between, or there's nothing that we're hearing about or hearsay per se. Going back and getting information previously, that's fine. Like I said in Nevada this afternoon, but it doesn't help me now. It doesn't help in my decision. I need that information before the 15th. So just out of respect, maybe a memo should have been out, maybe a call should have been out. Hey, do you got time to meet? in person, you got time to meet virtually. We have done this in the past as councils. When something's come up that's of importance, we have called special meetings before. And maybe we should have did that. So just moving forward, just please consider that.
One last comment, Brian, go ahead.
Scott, my point out what's before us tonight. You know, I don't want to, as Jeff said, litigate. If we're going to have events till 5/28, according to this memo, let's have all the events that would normally have been scheduled to 5/28. We shouldn't be picking and choosing, you know, no dog show, but we're going to have the, or dog training, but we're going to have this, no roller derby, but we're going to have this. If we're going to have it, let's have it till the 28th, or end it before then.
Or ended before then, what do you mean?
They went through and picked.
No, I know, I get that.
So we shouldn't be picking one over the other. Either we're gonna,
That's not what I asked. You said or ended before then, what does that mean?
well, pick May 1st, pick a different date.
I think Nevada has to be put here.
So just a couple of comments just to address some of the conversation that's happened tonight. Everything that's gotten us to this point has been discussed in public meetings, which are posted and open to everybody. We post them all exactly the same way. So a lot of this stuff has been brought up and discussed in those public meetings. You know, if the public's not there to hear it and then they're there at the end result, there is a lot that you can go back and look at. From December 24 was the first joint meeting discussing these issues, again in June of 2025, and then again in December of 2025, all open meetings. Also in the community center board meetings, many of these things were taking place in those public meetings. The training and the guidance to the board members and to the manager that the city staff was consistently providing, those were all given in public meetings and discussed as we went through processes and made decisions. So there was a lot happening in the public. All of this was taking place in public meetings, and there was opportunity for public to attend. There was a lot of work done over the last 6 months with the community center board and the community center manager to try and train them on the processes that need to be followed for the public sector in order to stay compliant. Repeated attempts and consistent efforts to try to make sure that those processes were being followed, so that we weren't in violation of any codes and we weren't exposed to additional liability. Our job is to stop something bad before it happens, not react after something bad happens. We've seen that over the last couple of years. We are trying to change that process. We don't want to react when something bad happens. We want to have the process in place to stop it before it happens, and that's what we're trying to do here. We have a lot of risk, a lot of exposure to liability. We want to mitigate that risk and make sure that we don't have another black eye. Tonight's recommendation wasn't picking and choosing events. It was a careful analysis of what events are scheduled, and with an uncertainty, knowing that the facility is going to close, at least for the city's perspective for operations, we will lose staff gradually. They will find other jobs knowing that the facility is going to close. We had to look at everything that was scheduled and determine what we could confidently say that we can handle with the current staff that are in other departments that may be able to assist and operate these events if we don't have any more community center staff. We can't guarantee we'll have staff. We can't guarantee that we will have staff here to run public skates when the staff that is going to be available to help with these other events that are in this recommendation, they're working in other departments during the day and providing other services, so we can't come and operate those public skates. We have to look at what's out there and what we can effectively and confidently commit to so that we can communicate that to people that do have events scheduled, and that's the purpose and the analysis behind where this recommendation came from. It wasn't blind picking and choosing, but it was making sure that these events, if we commit to them, we will have someone here to run them. And so that's where these events came forward for recommendation as the first step in responsibly closing operations until the council can have further discussion and determine what the future of this facility and property is going to look like.
Thank you. That was the additional context that I was looking for. I appreciate that. So my concern is, Brian, if we expand what staff has recommended here, we are opening ourselves up to further liability instead of mitigating liability, and we do not have a true way to fill the financial gap that doesn't have us crossing the line of doing something that we now know to be illegal.
So under that logic, why have any of this? Because each one of these that you're allowing is going to do just that. I mean, it's either one way or the other. The city always assumes risk every time that sun comes up.
That's a very good question. I don't know, staff, do you have any feedback that would make sense here?
This is what we were comfortable assuming risk for, with the amount of cash handling, the staff that would be involved. This list of what we are recommending that we commit to is where we are comfortable with being able to say we will be able to staff it and it will be minimal risk for the events that are currently out there.
And with enough operating funds to cover these events?
Correct.
Because you're utilizing city staff whose fixed costs are covered elsewhere in the budget.
Correct.
Meaning Jeff will take the lead on this probably, Gage, former community center manager, is in our city hall office. You know, Tony and his works guys will do the setup. So we'll have the people that know the controls to handle that.
I mean, like the dog training? Really?
Somebody has to come here and open the door and lock it up and all that.
Very, very minimal.
Right.
Okay. Well, who's that person going to be?
Roller derby practice. They asked tonight if they could practice. They've opened the door and closed the door by themselves before.
And this was presented, you have the power to amend it.
Right, that's correct.
I mean,
That's
this
what I'm
was,
asking for.
well, this was the starting point. You can make an amendment. I mean, this is the
And
opportunity
that's
for the
exactly
council
what
to
we
do
had. We
that.
had a lot of discussion here, and a lot of people have said a lot of things. If we have a motion and a second on the table, if someone would like to make an amendment to that motion, they are certainly welcome to do that.
And that amendment then we voted on.
It'd have to be accepted by the second and the person that made the motion before it could be voted
Right, so
on.
you need to make a specific amendment, and then that amendment needs to be seconded, and then the council will vote on whether or not you amend it, and then you would vote on that amended motion.
Okay, I'll amend the motion to include dog training all the way through May 28th. Roller derby can practice here through November 28th, whatever, not in conflict with these dates.
Can you tell me that date again?
November?
I'm sorry, May 28th.
Thank you. And roller derby being the Quad City Rollers?
Yes.
Specifically, okay.
They asked tonight if they could still train here.
I just want to make sure that we were talking specifically about them and not other teams.
And I would like to see, and I can go either way, the 3 North Scott schools have their skate here up until November, or I keep saying November, till May 28th.
Again, not a bad idea, but then the concern is staffing it, how we're going to do that.
If we can't staff it at that point, or week before, we'll have to cancel it.
Adrian?
You know, if this is a route that we have to go, then I will support it. But you obviously know my thought about this and trying to do due diligence to keep it open. But if this is what we have to do and there's no other alternatives as for right now, then
We need a second. There's a motion on the floor. So
Brian's motion then with that, I just don't want to lock us. I just don't want to lock us in without opportunities for possibly something in the future. If something came up that's going to benefit the city of Eldridge and they needed this spot, I just don't want to say, nope, it's the 28th, you can't do it anymore. That's my only concern, I guess. But with that being said, Brian, I know you got something else, so I guess I will go ahead and I will second your motion, but go ahead.
You can't.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't second
Point
the
of
motion.
Hang on here.
Whoever seconded the original motion has to agree, and whoever made the
Correct,
original motion has to agree. And
I
Jeff
thought you made the
said,
motion, I'm sorry.
and
I
Jeff
think we're
said,
talking through it.
Jeff said he could make the schools, our schools probably work.
Okay.
If I gotta come up here and hand skates out, I will.
I'll do that.
So for clarity, I want to make sure that we have this amendment, that your specific amendment is to allow the dog training, the roller derby, and the 3 North Scott schools gates to continue.
The roller derby practice.
Roller derby practice.
Through
And
May
that will-
28th.
And that date would be extended to May 28th, 2026.
Because that also allows them time to find alternative places.
One question, Nevada raised a good point. Do we need to consult with our insurance agent in terms of the roller derby and the school skates?
So could we make the motion contingent on blessing from the insurance carrier?
Well,
They've already been
or
doing it.
roller derby's got their own insurance. School skates, we might need to get a certificate of insurance from the school district listing us additionally insured because their pockets are deeper than ours.
We should be doing that anyway,
Can we table? Can we table this until we get this information back from Nevada and staff?
Tabling is not the appropriate motion. Right now, we have a motion on the floor to amend with these specific things. If there is not a second to these, then that motion would die. And so,
We're back to original
and
motion.
then we're back to the original
Okay.
motion unless there were another, and this is just procedurally in order to make sure that we're very abundantly clear on what the plan is going forward.
And procedurally, Ryan would have to approve the amended motion because he made the original motion, and I would have to
Correct.
agree to the second because I need the second. Correct?
Second.
That's correct.
You got a second, Brian?
No, he can't. You've got to.
I've got a second, Brian?
But before we do that,
No.
I just, can we,
Somebody-
Microphones, please.
Somebody has
just
to
vote.
second Brian's motion.
Can you just clarify the motion one more time?
Yes, the motion that I have is that the dog training, the roller derby practice, the 3 North Scott school skates would continue through May 28th, 2026.
And that's your motion, correct, Brian?
Correct, in addition.
To what's already there.
I'm amending the original.
You're amending the
Right.
original motion.
So now we need a second to Brian's amendment.
I will second that. And
Can I amend your amendment?
Well, first we're going to vote on the amendment.
All in favor? Please,
Unless you want to, it's your call, if you want to do a roll call.
We'll do a roll call vote on this. All in favor of Brian's amendment? Roll call?
Blackwell,
aye.
Dockery,
Aye.
Yossi,
Aye.
Ashcraft.
Aye.
All right. making
Motion
progress.
See, we can come to consensus.
So Mayor, then the next thing that, this is a resolution putting a date on it, but it doesn't discuss how we're gonna move forward with the property in that meantime. So I would like to see us, given that date of May 28th, that nothing else be considered other than somebody coming in, whether it be private, lease or nonprofit or something, to see if we can't keep the facility operating first up until that date by somebody outside of the city. Does that make sense?
No, try again.
I want to make sure that there is no other discussions of what's going to happen to this building until we give it till that May 28th date for somebody to present ideas. James has a nonprofit investor, somebody else might approach looking to purchase or lease. I want to give that time for that same opportunity. Because we've got to decide what we're going to do with the building. That's part of what was on the agenda tonight. What are we going to do with the property? It's not just a closing date. We still have to discuss then what happens after that date if it's closed. We don't have to sit and wait till May 28th to decide what direction we're going to go.
I would recommend then, if that's your general consensus, that at the next meeting, we put forth a request for proposals, you know, for your consideration to be put out to the public then. And then, you know, you could just get proposals in and set a date for, give that a month or two.
Okay.
It would be within this time frame for anyone in the public. I'm sorry, thank you. So we would present a proposal for your consideration for request for proposals from business people in the public to take over the facility and run it as a for-profit business.
Okay.
Or
nonprofit.
Or nonprofit, or whatever. Just request for proposals for someone that would want to step in and continue the operations.
Fair enough.
All right, so now we have a Brian.
I'm just saying, Your Honor, we had a motion, a second, an amendment with a second. Now we're back to the original motion as amended to be voted on.
That is correct.
That's correct. That's where we're at.
Okay.
It's your
We're going to do a roll call vote on this so everybody gets on the record.
roll call. Dockery,
Aye.
Yossi,
Aye.
Ashcraft,
Aye.
Blackwell.
With keeping this open and knowing what I do know, I regretfully, but I have to say aye.
Motion to approve the amended motion has carried unanimously.
All right. Now we're good?
Yes.
Now we are good. Everybody's clear?
Yes. I've been called good all day.
Yes. All right. Thank you all. New business. Consideration to approve a 10-year contract proposal with Axon for the Ellis Police Department body cams, squad cams, and taser systems. I entertain a motion to approve, and then we'll discuss.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? And Sergeant Gale is here to answer any questions, and we have everything in our packet.
I would just add that you guys did a great job working out this deal. I don't think it could have looked any better at all going forward, at least for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, the software is pretty much irreplaceable. As of right now, we're paid through 2028, but as it stands, if we were to wait till 2028, we'd be looking at roughly $51,000 a year. Right now, we're only paying $32,000. With going forward with this, we're going to, cost savings wise, over the next 10 years, save $129,300.33 as the projection is. So with our tight, smaller budget, that's going to be huge for us.
I agree with Councilman Ryan. I mean, this is a phenomenal package with outstanding equipment. The one thing that I asked Nevada today, and I'm looking for some clarification on, I see we get new body cameras at 2.5, 5 years, 7 years, and 10-year mark at no additional cost. Do we have something similar that applies to the tasers themselves?
So the tasers, I mean, there's nothing mentioned in the contract proposal with that. The tasers included in the package here are the top of the line tasers they have. So currently, right now, we got 4 tasers with the last time we went with Axon. Since then, I've been here 10 years now. We've had the same tasers since I've been there for the rest of our officers. They're pretty much obsolete at this point.
So that's my question is, if we're going to get the top of the line tasers, but 10 years from now, those tasers are going to already be, or they're going to probably be obsolete in 3 to 5 years, is there an opportunity for us to upgrade the tasers as well sometime during the course of the contract?
And I can definitely get some clarification on that.
I'm not going to hold my foot up on this. I'm very much in favor of it.
Because with Axon, they are the cornerstone of the taser market. There's nobody else that does taser.
Right.
They have the cornerstone. And we've gone to the road shows and talked to vendors. And with their technology right now, they have stuff that's going to come out probably 3 to 5 years from now that they could roll out tomorrow. It's just their progression-wise, how they want to roll that stuff out and when they do it. So the Taser 10s just came out last year, I believe, maybe the year prior. So the longevity of those, to answer your question, in 10 years, those still will be pretty operable at that point in time. Okay. The model that we've had for the last 10 years have been around I mean, they've been upgraded and tweaked a little bit, but they've been around for longer than 10 years, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Sergeant Gale?
No, thank you for putting it together. I talked to Sergeant Gale earlier today, and even I think the salesman for this company is pretty optimistic on his increase curve. It'd almost be in a power 45 curve. But even if it stayed at the 32 and went to 50 over 10 years, we're still going to save $150,000.
Yes, correct.
I think if we wouldn't do this, you'd be questioned. If I didn't vote to support this, you guys would be questioning my sanity after all my numbers.
Well, and as it stands right now, we actually have 3 separate contracts with Axon. So I don't know how they did that originally, but this would consolidate everything into one to streamline everything.
That's great. Okay, we have a motion and a second. No more discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consideration to approve resolution 2026-01, naming city depositories. I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? We'll discuss after the second.
That's why I'm not seconding again.
So,
Second.
Second, Adrian, thank you.
Discussed, always second.
Did you have anything to add to this at all?
I do. Just first of all, I think we need to note and amend this to reflect that Northwest Bank no longer exists. It's now Time Bank. And so just to be accurate, that needs to be reflected in there. It would also be my recommendation that we consider, and I know that we're not actual depositories in any of these right now, but these are potential depositories for us with the exception of First Central Bank, that we consider removing Wells Fargo and only use local banks. And I would suggest that we look at a TBK or Quad City Bank and Trust to replace Wells Fargo, even though it's unlikely we're probably going to utilize them, and just make sure that we have a local connection as opposed to some nationwide banking system, which is a fine banking system. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they probably don't have the local presence that we would need if we needed somebody here to make a decision.
Question, Brian?
No, I could support that. My question was on First Central State Bank, our main bank we use. We jacked that number up at one time, up to that 12 or 14 million to receive the bonds for the YMCA. And those are going out. I just question if that needs to be at 12 million or if we can lower that exposure some. But we had to raise that to receive the bond revenue for the YMCA.
Yeah, we're still at 12 million in our accounts between money market and deposits. Yeah, we're over
Between
12
everything?
million.
Yeah,
We're over that.
That number should be.
But we should have $10,000.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Jeff, you have another comment?
So do we need to amend the motion to reflect Time Bank instead of Northwest Bank? And do I need to also amend it and make a recommendation on another bank? Or not, or just let this one go this year?
We can just remove it. We don't have to replace it.
Right. Then I would suggest we just remove it and that we amend Northwest Bank to Time Bank.
And then it's
So moved.
TIN.
yes.
Right, we're good?
I said so moved.
I moved a long time ago. Roll call?
Ashcraft.
Aye.
Blackwell.
Aye.
Dockery.
Aye.
Yossi.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. We're on the home stretch. As you can see, I've added a mayor's report to the agenda, so we'll start off with that before we let the staff take over. Just a couple things I want to update you on where we stand with the fire department. As Nevada mentioned last month, we had a very constructive meeting with the Davenport Fire Chief, and that is probably one of the last pieces to the puzzle. It was very informative. We will be meeting with representatives of the fire department yet this week to update them on our progress, and I think things should go smoothly, and I think we're on the right track. I think we're on the same page, which is a good thing. I want to thank Jeff and Tracy for all their work last week while Nevada was on vacation. They really stepped up and put this agenda together, went above and beyond, and thank Nevada for coming in on Sunday after her vacation to make sure everything was good, so thank you for that. And then with that, and just to better facilitate smoother and more productive council meetings, I really want to encourage the council members to engage with city staff more frequently. I think they would welcome that. Any questions you have prior to our meetings, go ahead and give them a call so that we can make educated decisions. It's their job to keep us informed, but more importantly, it's our job to be informed and ask questions. So I'd encourage all of us to do that. And then finally, when we embark on a new year and with a new council, I put together a very incomplete list of things that I think that we should address in 2026. And these are in no special order, but I do think we're getting very close. We need to finalize the acquisition of the volunteer fire department for their sake, more importantly for the sake of our residents, and we need to transition it into a city-operated entity. I'm confident that will get accomplished. We need to expedite the plan to move the Public Works Department out to our recently purchased property on South First Street. So we need to continue to have discussions on that. We started talking about this last year, but since we created a new scooter ordinance in the fall, we need to look at our sidewalk ordinances again. I know that's been a thing for Mr. Yossi has been pushing for that. We just need to make sure that we have adequate sidewalks for both scooters and pedestrians in town, and need to look at that. Jeff has stated numerous times that he is being contacted regularly by new industrial businesses wanting to relocate to Eldridge. We need to determine how we can make that happen and what we can do to attract them and how to best develop our industrial ground on the south side of town. Just need to continue having discussions about that. Another big topic, we need to continue keeping a bike or recreational trail along Lincoln Road on our priority list. I think we have talked about that. Our residents are asking for that. We need to find a way for residents of Rustic Ridge to get to the bike path safely. That's a big thing. And then finally, I would encourage the rest of you, all including city staff, to develop your own list of priorities and things that you want to get accomplished in 26, and then be prepared to share them in the future. So that's my list. With that, Nevada.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few quick updates. I also want to say thank you to Tracy and Jeff for handling everything while I was gone, so I could just go out and enjoy a few days off and not have to check in frequently. The joint transit study that we're doing with Bettendorf, Davenport, and LeClaire still is looking for a steering committee meeting or member from Eldridge, looking for an elected official. I'm on their bi-weekly meetings, but we need someone to get on the quarterly updates.
I'll do it.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Dockery. The deputy city clerk position that was discussed recently with the city clerk finance manager interviews and hiring, we are looking to put that on the next agenda for consideration for approval. The general consensus when we went through the last hiring procedure was that we could go ahead and make that offer along with the offer for the finance manager, city clerk. City staff then came back with the recommendation to wait until we had that city clerk finance manager onboarded so that she could participate in that process and the selection of that individual. We did have one of our billing clerks recently resign, and so we need to fill that role and would like to post that as that deputy city clerk position as discussed during the hiring process for the city clerk. Reminder that city offices will be closed on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The fiscal year 27 budget, we'll be starting to put those preliminary budget numbers together over the next 2 weeks. We do have the numbers available from the county, so we can start working on our tax levy information, and we'll get that put together and drafted and out to you for review as soon as we can get that all calculated. And then finally, for the traffic signal project, Tri-City has all of the signal equipment on site. They started working on assembling the poles last week and will continue to work on the poles this week and next week. The traffic signal should be operational by the end of the month. There are going to be changeable message boards put up over a few days prior to the activation of the signal to alert drivers. Once that contractor has had all the signal work done and knows when they'll be ready to activate the traffic signal, they will notify us so that a notice can be posted on the city's website as well.
Thank you, Nevada. Any questions?
Nevada, for the backfill the lost position, should we look at hiring it originally for what we lost and use the possibility of a deputy clerk in the future? I mean, we talked about that with the previous employee because it was a known quantity and we felt she could do that job. I'm not saying long-term not do it, but originally just start to backfill that position with if the individual works out well, then we can look at moving to a deputy clerk.
That's our decision. I think we talked about this and Tracy brought some expertise. We will get a stronger talent pool if we advertise for a deputy clerk. And I think we're not talking, what, maybe $10,000 more? I mean, roughly for that position, and it's in the budget.
Yep.
And we may be getting a lot of people that apply for it that don't have the ability to be deputy city clerk.
Right, and then we reconsider that. I mean, if we don't have a talent pool that can do it, then we don't do it. But I think there may be actual clerks in smaller towns that have the experience that maybe this would be a step up for them, and we don't know if we don't put it up there.
Okay. And then for the budget, did we give guidance, or did you give guidance to the department head? 3% increase over last year, or 3.5%, or?
For wages?
No, just for their budget. Wages are already defined by the contract.
So they're currently working on their worksheets, and then we will sit down and go through their worksheets when they have their numbers together. So those meetings are scheduled for over the next 2 weeks.
Can we have where they do basic budget, then put their wish list of what they want extra next to it, so then we can go through on what we determine we can afford versus them putting it in and us having to peel them out?
Yep, we can.
Does the rest of the council agree with that? Is that the way you want to handle it?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I've seen it done like that before. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. More questions for Nevada?
Yeah, is our next council meeting on the 26th going to be at City Hall or here? Mr. Mayor?
It will be here. Jeff, anything to add now? You've talked a lot.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime. I wasn't intending to have a report, but I'll piggyback on what you said about contacting city staff. It's not our intention to surprise anybody with an agenda item. I think I can speak for Nevada saying that. If you're surprised by something that I put on the budget, I expect a phone call from that and I'll figure out what I did wrong. That's not our intention to surprise anyone, so please contact us if that happens. Just pick up the phone and call us. Please keep your conversations about the agenda items in the open meetings where they should be, but we don't want to surprise anybody. And I just want to thank everyone. This was a tough meeting. We got through it. We're all still friends. Nobody's going to leave here mad. So thank you for doing that. It was a tough meeting, and I applaud everyone's behavior tonight. I'm proud to work with the City of Eldridge.
I called you last Friday night at 6:30 and you answered your phone.
That's my job.
Tracy?
Yeah, the auditors will be here at the next meeting to present the FY25 budget and audit report for that. And I would also like to thank Councilmember Bedock over here for doing such a good job with your amendment on there. That's really important that you fully understood that process, and I appreciated having your understanding and support on that.
I get lucky once.
Ryan, do you have anything to add for the police department?
The only thing I can really add is our newest officer just started the police academy last Monday. So today would have been his second week. We talked with him. He survived the first week, so he's doing well. He started week 2. So
Good. So I just want to say before Councilman Dockery makes a motion for adjournment, so I will let you do that though. So just want to thank everybody here at the table. Tonight's meeting was maybe number 1 and number 2 of the most difficult ones that I've had on here. So, but you know, at the end of the day, it's what we do moving forward, and trying to make it less painful as possible. I do think though, as I wind down, that we need to set a date and go back to City Hall. To me, it doesn't look good to keep using this space if we're going to shutter its doors as elected officials. So I think the sooner the possible, we need to go back to City Hall.
Okay, real quick. I know everybody wants to go, but my first meeting, I'm glad it was one of the harder ones, because that means it's all downhill for me from here. They said, run for city council, it'll be fun. I'm not sure this is the type of fun I had in mind, but anyway, thank you all for, especially the city staff, for getting me up to speed here over the last several months and weeks, so that I felt like I had some sort of grip on what's going on. It's still a steep learning curve, so I appreciate staff, and I appreciate those of you who I've connected with as well.
Welcome aboard. I'd like to make a motion for adjournment, plus in honor of Marty, I gotta say, go the Bears. The Bears.
Now. I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, we are adjourned.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're not a Packers fan, are you?
Of course they were up on us.
Yeah.